Gonna be right here, kind of giving you that 3-minute, 2-minute, 1-minute, warning. But if you want to share your information and anyone's interested in talking to someone else about getting a little more detail, you can certainly give your information out. So, and y'all keep me to that time as well. I'm gonna move right here. So if anybody, if you see me starting to ramble, be like, hey, it's like 12 minutes, you need to hurry up. So I guess I need to pull up my presentation, right? And it was right here. All right. Oh no. I hate it when it says there needs to be updates. That's so scary, right? Okay. So like I said, I'm Dr. Stephanie Bain. My dad, Dr. Steve Bain, was going to present with me, but he is recovering from a surgery and wasn't able to come. So this one is, I'm main author on the one at the 10 o'clock. He is main speaker, author. So if you come to the 10 o'clock, bear with me. I'm gonna try and do it justice for him. So something near and dear to my heart, we are in Military City. San Antonio, that's what we're considered. And at Kingsville, which is about 2.5 hours from here, we have support systems. Most, if not all universities and community college have some sort of support systems for veterans. But what do they need? Are these being met? So I pulled data from the DOD, then the Department of Veteran Affairs, many different areas like that. That's not the only one, but just know that when you see the stats and the demographics, that's where we're coming from. So only 15% of student veterans are that traditional age. We know that veterans are not a traditional student, but there are so many ways that can be proactive, and then in other ways, some challenges for them as well, okay? So 75% of them are attending school full-time, and 62% are first-generation college students. First-generation college students, 62%. Okay, and this is just a little more data. I'm not going to read all through this, but you may have heard of the GI Bill, other sources of getting funds to veterans. But it's not just that. I think a lot of people say, oh my gosh, their school's paid for, so they should be okay. But that's not necessarily the case. Many of them have families. And so that isn't going to replace a full-time job income. So they have to make these types of decisions. The data from the Veterans Affairs, this is from 2015, but 27 majors in business, 14% majored in STEM, 10% majored in health. Those are just like the top ones for that, and they're scattered throughout. And then their average was a 3.39. So that's pretty good, right? I think that's higher than my undergrad average. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. So compared to veterans complete at a 54% completion rate, and at the universities, we know that we want that to be higher, right? 54% is something that many of us struggle with still, especially with COVID coming out of that, but that's the latest data. So returning to civilian life, and I don't know if we have any veterans in here. Thank you for your service. So you may be able to empathize with this. They struggle to adjust. We're going to talk about a few things that may affect their transition, okay? Some of them, well, we've heard of PTSD, but also traumatic brain injury. That's something that affects them. It's medical, and how do they combat that? So some challenges. Why PTSD? What are some of the things? These are just some of the things, just a couple. Well, they've seen their colleagues being wounded and killed. I work with someone right now that was a medic. He was, telling me the other day that he was in Iraq, I think in 2000, around 2003, 2-3, and they were setting up medical camps. He's like, I think people don't realize that even in then, we were the first ones out there doing that. So he had to make those decisions whether to save this one person or not. And then they're exposed to friendly fire. Traumatic brain injury, kind of know what that is. They could be, whether it's blown up or, whatever type of situation that they may be in. There's different types, mild, moderate, severe. Okay. This is just saying, again, that they're reporting that they're struggling. And like I said, the positive thing is that they're disciplined, right? But the other part of it is they don't really want to go many times to ask for help. That's really a main factor in the research. Veterans sometimes find it difficult to do that. They're looking for that support system. Well, they've had a support system in the military, and then they come out and they're like, well, where do I fit in? Okay. So we're going to talk just briefly about 5 different categories: support services, academic, social, administrative, financial, and clinical and health services. These always come around as the top needs as far as academic centers. A veteran support services center. How many of your institutions have this? A veteran support, right? How active they are varies. So social media to connect, that's some of the new research. We're all, maybe not all, but many of us are on social media. That's how to contact. Something else is, you don't have to be there in person to get that information if you're getting it social media. Okay? And then many of them are commuters. They have families. They're not going to be your traditional live in the dorm, live on campus, and often resistant to seek help. So what can administrators do? Really comes from the top down. Create this culture of inclusivity. Education is at the university campus level, right? We want this at that level. If it's just coming from the Veteran Services Center, many times it's hard to reach out and get a hold of people and have that access to those mass emails that go out, and funding as well. Okay, and then policy and programs tailored to meet their needs. Something like, when I teach face-to-face, it's like, if you're absent, hey, that's docking the grade, right? But COVID's changed things, but maybe for our veterans, modify that. Say, hey, 2 or 3, let me know. Just as long as you let me know, it's fine, okay? So I kind of mentioned on it earlier, but one of the main things are indirect costs, okay? Many of them find it hard to be able to support a family or support themselves and still live off the monies that are available to them from their services. Oh, and then lack of knowledge on the application process. I think when I'll say, like, most students are like that, like, man, how do I register? Stuff like that. What's going on? Clinical and health services. So on-campus services are imperative. Many veterans are not going to go out and seek help elsewhere. If you really think about it, okay, they're in the military, it's like a one-stop shop for your medical health, right? We need to have this available. And when I was doing the research, some of these campuses, university campuses, we can talk about it later if you're interested in more depth, they have amazing mental health services. And I will tell you, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to talk to you about the Rural Mental Health Institute at Kingsville that's just been created. But that's something that we're doing to help our students. Okay? And then timely diagnosis, right? Traumatic brain injury can significantly increase over time. And if you don't know you have it, obviously that's going to make an impact in your daily life. So what are misconceptions? That they're just not smart enough to be there, right? They don't have the intelligence. Okay? In fact, they show higher when comparing their academic abilities than the traditional student. Okay? And then this one really gets me is when like I said, this is near and dear to my heart. When someone says, oh, PTSD, you know, they're just whatever, you know, their IQ is not whatever. That has nothing to do with IQ level, okay? Anyone with PTSD. And then another misconception, they're not motivated. In fact, they're more motivated than many of our students. We just have to help them along that track. So conclusion, they're considered non-traditional. They do require support systems. They are not lacking in intelligence. Their experience, in fact, gives them the opportunity to perform at a higher level than traditional students. And educating university faculty, staff, and student population will promote veteran success. And this is just some of the sites that you can go to. But if you would like to contact me, feel free to email me. And then I'm totally plugging my YouTube channel. I also work as an instructor. So I teach in the College of Ed, and for many years, like 7 years, I was full-time in Kingsville, and then I moved to San Antonio, and then I'm part-time adjunct. Well, I guess depending on what semester, how much they need me, it can be full-time. So I also have K-12 experience. So I'm kind of doing a few hats. So if you get out there, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yes, I'm that person. But anyway,